Okay, so get this.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you're the first person to figure out fire, right?
Okay.
But now you have to make rules about it.
Wow.
It's a lot of pressure. And really, every time humanity makes some kind of big technological leap,
Yeah.
we have to go right back to figuring out all the ethical do's and don'ts again.
It really is fascinating
Right.
how technology and ethics have always been connected
Exactly.
throughout all of history.
And that's what we're diving into today in this deep dive.
Yeah.
It's all about how technology has shaped ethics throughout history,
It has.
and also what it means for us today.
Right.
And to guide us, we'll be using excerpts from this paper called Technology's Influence on Ethics.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
This paper points out that every single advancement, from the most basic tools to artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
all of them force us to redefine what we think is right and wrong.
So let's start by going way back to the very beginning.
Okay.
I mean, the beginnings of human history. I was blown away to learn that even simple tools and the development of agriculture had ethical implications.
Makes sense, though,
I guess so.
if you think about it.
I mean, who knew a stone axe could spark an existential crisis?
Well, the shift from hunting and gathering to farming,
Yeah,
that was way more than just like a technological advancement.
I could see that.
It totally changed how humans related to nature.
Oh, I see.
We went from taking what we could find to actively shaping the world around us.
So we went from just surviving
Yeah.
to like managing and controlling.
Exactly. And that new level of control,
Yeah.
it led societies to create like ethical frameworks
Oh, interesting.
around their actions.
I see.
Like one of the best examples of this is
Yeah.
in those ancient Hindu texts,
Okay.
the Vedas.
Okay.
The Vedas put so much emphasis on
Mhm.
the interconnectedness of all life
Okay.
and like how important it is to live in harmony with nature.
So instead of just taking what we needed, we started thinking about
Right.
our impact
Yeah.
on the world.
Right. In fact, the Vedas even advocate for specific practices
Like what?
like ahimsa,
I've heard of that.
which is the principle of nonviolence towards all living beings.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like an early version of our modern day discussions about sustainability and animal welfare.
So it really makes you wonder
I know.
if we're still grappling with the same fundamental ethical questions
Absolutely.
today,
Yes.
just on a larger scale.
a much larger scale.
Yeah.
And those questions become even more complex when we enter the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagine
Oh, I know.
the upheaval that came with factories and mass production.
Right.
And unfortunately, exploitation.
On a massive scale.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to fathom the ethical dilemmas people faced during that time. Dangerous working conditions,
Yeah.
child labor.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to process.
It was a true ethical minefield.
Wow.
And it makes sense.
Yeah.
That thinkers like Karl Marx and John Stuart Mill were grappling with these very issues.
They were really ahead of their time.
Marx was a huge critic of the dehumanizing aspects of industrial capitalism.
Right.
And then utilitarians.
Like Mill.
Yeah, like Mill.
Okay.
They sought ways to ensure the greatest good for the greatest number in this rapidly changing world.
So it seems like every technological leap
It does.
offers progress.
Yeah.
But it also comes with a price.
It does.
Is it even possible to have progress without some new ethical dilemma?
Well, it's not so much about the technology itself.
Quite.
It's how we choose to use it.
Right.
Every new tool,
Yeah.
every new discovery,
Mm-hmm.
it has the potential for both positive and negative consequences.
Absolutely.
It's up to us as a society to figure out how to harness that power responsibly.
I agree, but how do we even begin to do that today? I mean, it feels like ethical dilemmas are popping up
Faster than ever.
faster than we can address them.
Yeah.
Data privacy, AI bias,
Yes.
the spread of misinformation online.
I know, it's a lot.
It can feel incredibly overwhelming.
It's true.
Right.
We're living in a time of unprecedented technological change.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot to process.
It is.
Let's take your social media feed as an example.
Okay.
Think about what you see when you're scrolling through it.
Okay.
Are you getting a balanced worldview?
Mm.
Or are you mainly seeing things that reinforce your existing beliefs?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like we're living in a filter bubble.
Exactly. That's the echo chamber effect.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a prime example of how technology can subtly shape our perception of the world.
Wow.
This is the heart of the digital age dilemma.
Okay.
Who controls the information?
Right.
Who has access to it? And ultimately,
Yeah.
who shapes our online reality?
So it's not just about the technology itself,
Right.
but who's controlling it
Yes.
and how they're using it. But are we doomed to repeat these ethical struggles forever?
Well,
Can we ever truly break the cycle?
I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
While the potential for ethical missteps will always exist, we're also getting better at recognizing and addressing them.
Oh, that's good.
Like, look at the GDPR in Europe.
Okay.
It's an attempt to protect data privacy
Oh, right.
in what often feels like the Wild West of information online.
So it's a step in the right direction,
It is.
at least.
And that brings us to a bigger question.
Okay.
Can technology actually solve our ethical problems?
Mhm.
Or does it simply create new ones?
It often feels like we're constantly playing catch-up.
That's a great question.
Right.
And it highlights a concept we need to be wary of.
What's that?
Techno-utopianism.
Techno-utopianism.
Yeah, it's this seductive idea that technology alone can solve all our problems.
Oh, okay.
Like a magic wand that will fix everything.
So believing that technology can save us
Yes.
without us having to change our own behavior. It seems like that could lead to some serious problems.
Exactly.
Right.
It's like believing that simply having a hammer will automatically fix all the problems in your house
Yeah.
without you needing to learn how to use it properly.
Without any skills.
Yeah. Like, take geoengineering as an example.
Okay.
It's been proposed as a way to combat climate change,
Okay.
but does it really address the root causes?
I don't know.
Like overconsumption and unsustainable practices? Not necessarily.
It's almost like putting a Band-Aid on a much deeper wound.
Right.
We think we've found a solution,
Right.
but we're ignoring the real problem.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's crucial to remember that technology is an incredibly powerful tool,
it is.
but it's up to us to use it ethically.
Yeah.
We can't just rely on the technology itself to be our moral compass.
Okay, so that brings us to another interesting development.
Okay.
The democratization of ethics.
Yes.
Social media,
Yeah.
for all its flaws,
Right.
has given a voice to groups historically excluded from these important conversations.
That has.
That's a really important point.
It is.
It's like everyone suddenly has a seat at the table,
I like that.
even if it's a virtual one.
Yeah, exactly. But there's a flip side to this as well.
Oh.
Social media has also created echo chambers
Right.
and fueled the spread of misinformation on a scale we've never seen before.
It's like this incredible tool for connection and awareness.
It is.
But it can also be used to manipulate and divide.
It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it raises the question,
Yeah.
how do we use these powerful tools responsibly to promote ethical dialogue instead of just amplifying the extremes?
That's a question we'll continue to grapple with as we delve deeper into specific historical examples in part 2 of our deep dive.
It'll be interesting.
So much to think about already.
I know.
But it's so fascinating.
It's a question that becomes even more crucial when we think about how fast technology is advancing.
Yeah.
It's not just like small
Right.
incremental changes anymore. It's exponential leaps
Yeah.
in fields like AI,
Right.
biotech, and nanotech.
It's crazy.
I know, the pace of change is mind-boggling.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era.
It does.
And like you said, the ethical rulebook is still being written.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it can't all be doom and gloom.
Oh, definitely not.
Haven't there been times when we figured this stuff out?
Yeah.
Like when societies have successfully navigated ethical challenges from new technologies?
Absolutely. There are actually some really inspiring examples
Okay.
of humanity rising to the ethical challenges posed by new technologies.
I'd love to hear about those.
Well, one that really stands out is the development of modern medical ethics.
Okay.
Think about organ transplantation.
Oh, wow.
It was a revolutionary advancement
It was.
that saved countless lives,
It did.
but it also raised a host of ethical questions.
Like what kinds of questions?
Well, for starters, who should get a life-saving organ?
Right.
How do we make sure it's fair?
Yeah.
How do we make sure the organs are allocated fairly?
Yeah.
And what about consent?
It's literally life or death.
It is?
The stakes couldn't be higher.
You're telling me,
Wow.
but through rigorous debate,
Mhm.
philosophical inquiry,
Okay.
and a commitment to core ethical principles,
Okay, like what?
like informed consent and equitable allocation,
Those are big ones.
we actually managed to come up with ethical guidelines that helped make sure this life-saving technology is used responsibly
Oh, that's good.
and for the benefit of all.
So we can do it.
We can.
We can find ethical solutions.
You can.
Even for the toughest challenges.
It definitely gives me hope
Me too.
And it's not just in medicine.
Oh, okay.
Look at the environmental movement.
Okay.
Technology played a role in both creating environmental problems and then inspiring solutions to those problems.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like Rachel Carter's book,
I've heard of that.
Silent Spring,
Yeah.
which showed everyone how dangerous pesticides were. It was actually made possible by advancements in scientific technology.
That's crazy how it all connects.
And those same advancements have led to the development of renewable energy technologies and other innovations aimed at mitigating climate change.
So it's almost as if technology acts as a mirror, reflecting both our potential for harm and our capacity for good.
I love that analogy.
Thanks.
It's a powerful reminder that we have agency
Right.
in determining which path we choose.
I like that.
We can use technology to harm our planet or to heal it.
That's true.
We can use it to exploit each other or to empower each other.
Absolutely.
The key lies in understanding the lessons of history, engaging in thoughtful dialogue,
Right.
and upholding ethical principles that can guide us through these uncharted waters.
So we have history as our guide,
We do.
but the future is still full of uncertainty.
Yeah.
What are some of the big ethical questions we should be asking ourselves right now as we develop these powerful new technologies?
Well, one of the most pressing issues today is algorithmic bias.
Algorithmic bias.
Yeah. We're using algorithms more and more
For what?
to make important decisions.
Okay, like what?
Like in hiring,
Right.
lending,
Uh-huh.
and even criminal justice.
Oh, wow.
But if those algorithms are trained on biased data,
Yeah,
they'll just make those biases worse.
that makes sense.
And that can lead to unfair and potentially discriminatory outcomes.
It seems like we're putting a lot of trust in these algorithms without fully understanding them.
Yeah, we are, and that's why awareness is so important.
Right.
We need to recognize that algorithms aren't neutral.
So they're not objective.
Not really. They reflect the biases of their creators and the data they're trained on.
Oh, okay.
To address this.
Yeah.
We need to be intentional about building diverse teams of developers,
Okay.
collecting diverse data sets,
Right.
and testing algorithms rigorously to identify and mitigate potential bias.
So it's not just about writing code.
No.
It's about making sure the code is ethical. We need to bake ethics into the very foundation of these technologies.
Precisely. And beyond bias,
Yeah.
we need to consider the potential impact of AI on the future of work.
Oh, right.
Automation has the potential to displace millions of jobs.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
So we need to start thinking now about how we're going to adapt to this changing landscape
Okay.
and make sure that everyone has the opportunity to thrive in this new economy.
It's both a challenge and an opportunity
It is.
to reimagine the way we work and live in a world increasingly shaped by AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need to consider the broader societal implications of these technologies.
Okay, like what?
Well, what does it mean for our democracy if algorithms are shaping the information we see and the decisions we make?
Yeah, that's a good point.
What does it mean for our privacy if our every move is being tracked and analyzed?
It's a lot.
These aren't easy questions,
No,
but we need to figure them out
I do.
right now before it's too late.
It feels like we're at a crossroads, and the choices we make today will have a huge impact on the kind of future we create.
They will.
It's a bit daunting,
Yeah. Yeah,
but also exciting. We have the power to shape the future.
we do.
But that power comes with a responsibility to be thoughtful, ethical, and engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
And it's not just up to tech experts or policymakers.
So who is it up to?
It's a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of.
Everyone.
Yeah. Every time we use a new technology, every
Yeah.
time we buy something,
Mm.
every time we vote,
Yeah.
we're shaping the future.
So we need to make those choices with our eyes wide open,
Yes.
aware of the potential consequences,
Mm.
and guided by our values.
Exactly.
You've given us a lot to think about.
I know, it's a lot.
We've covered a lot of big picture ethical issues,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm wondering how this all translates to our everyday lives.
Yeah.
What are some practical things our listener can do to navigate this complex technological landscape in a more ethical way?
That's a great question. And I think one of the most important things anyone can do is to simply be aware.
Be aware.
Yeah. Pay attention to the technologies you're using every day.
Okay.
Read the privacy policies.
Oh, no one reads those.
I know, but don't just blindly click agree without understanding what you're agreeing to.
Okay.
Ask questions about how your data is being collected and used.
So it's about being an informed consumer.
Yes.
not just a passive user of technology.
Exactly.
That's-
And be mindful of the content you're consuming and sharing online.
Okay, so like...
Is it accurate?
yeah.
Is it fair?
Mm-hmm.
Is it contributing to a positive or negative online environment?
Yeah.
We all have a role to play in shaping the digital world.
You too.
So let's make sure we're doing our part to create a more ethical and inclusive digital space.
So it's not just about being a responsible user of technology.
No.
It's about being a responsible citizen
Yeah.
of the digital world.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks.
And don't be afraid to speak up when you see something that's wrong.
Oh,
Okay.
if you see bias,
That's...
discrimination, or
Yeah.
hate speech online,
Right.
don't just scroll past it.
Okay.
Call it out.
Mhm.
Report it to the platform.
Right.
Use your voice to advocate for a more ethical and just digital world.
It's about being an active participant
Yes.
in shaping the digital world we want to live in,
Mhm.
not just a passive observer.
Exactly.
Good.
And remember, technology is a tool.
It is.
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
The choices we make today will determine the kind of future we create.
So we've laid the groundwork right.
Right.
And we've talked about the big picture challenges
Yeah.
of technology and ethics.
It's a lot.
I know, but now I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty.
Okay.
What are some specific technologies that are raising really thorny ethical questions right now?
Well, one that comes to mind
Okay.
is gene editing technologies,
Oh, wow.
like CRISPR.
CRISPR.
Yeah, it's really pushing the boundaries of our ethical frameworks.
So this tech gives us the power to actually alter the very building blocks of life.
It does.
CRISPR, that's the one that lets us edit DNA, right?
It is.
I remember reading about it.
Yeah.
It's incredible what it could do
I know.
for treating diseases.
The potential for good is huge.
It is.
But it also brings up some really profound ethical questions.
Like what?
Well, for starters,
Okay.
what does it even mean to be human?
Yeah.
If we can just edit our genes
To do what?
to like enhance our intelligence or physical abilities,
It's like we're playing God.
yeah, are we crossing a line?
It's like we're not just treating diseases anywhere. We're like
I know.
redesigning humanity.
Exactly. And then there's the issue of access and equity.
Right.
If these gene editing technologies are really expensive,
Yeah.
who gets to benefit?
That's a good point.
Could we end up with a world where the wealthy can just buy their way to a better genome?
That's a scary thought. Like a world where
Oh,
the rich get to enhance themselves.
yeah.
While everyone else is left behind.
It's a real concern.
It is.
And it shows why it's so important to have these ethical conversations.
Now,
Yeah, now before these technologies become widely available.
before it's too late.
Yeah, we need to think about responsible use,
Okay.
equitable access,
Mhm.
and the potential unintended consequences.
It's like we need a whole new ethical playbook
We do.
for this brave new world of gene editing.
We do. And it's not just gene editing.
Oh, what else?
Well, we see similar ethical dilemmas
I
with
see.
things like brain-computer interfaces,
Oh, right.
artificial wombs,
Okay.
and other technologies that blur the lines
Yeah.
between human and machine.
It's like we're becoming cyborgs or something.
Yeah, it's forcing us to rethink what it means to be human
Yeah.
in a world where technology is so intertwined with
Well,
our very biology.
It's mind-blowing.
I know.
But are there any historical examples that we can look to
Hmm.
help guide us through all this? I mean, we've never had this kind of power before.
You're right. There are no perfect parallels. But we can still learn
From what?
from past experiences
Right.
with technologies that raised similar questions
Okay.
about human nature and our control over life and death.
I'm all ears. Give me an example.
Okay, think about the development of in vitro fertilization.
IVF.
Yeah, IVF back in the late 20th century.
Oh.
It was a revolutionary technology
Well, what?
that allowed couples struggling with infertility to have children.
Yeah.
But it sparked a ton of ethical debates
Like what?
about the nature of parenthood,
Huh?
the status of embryos,
Mm.
and the possibility of genetic selection.
Oh, right. I remember those debates.
Yeah,
They were pretty heated.
they were.
But those debates are still relevant today, right?
Yeah, they offer valuable insights
Into what?
into how we might approach the ethical challenges of newer technologies.
So what can we learn from the IVF debates?
Well, one key takeaway
Right.
is the need for inclusive conversations.
What do you mean?
It can't just be scientists and ethicists making decisions
Oh,
in a vacuum.
right.
We need to hear from everyone.
Like who?
Religious leaders,
Okay.
patients,
Mm-hmm.
the general public.
To make sure everyone's concerns are heard.
Exactly. We need to make sure a wide range of values and concerns are represented.
It's about having a broader societal conversation.
It is.
Not just leaving it up to the experts.
Exactly.
And it's probably messy, right?
Yeah. And we need to be okay with that.
With what?
With the fact that there might not be easy answers.
Oh.
And there will be disagreements.
Yeah, that's life.
But through respectful dialogue and a willingness to find common ground,
Okay.
we can develop ethical guidelines that reflect our shared values
That makes sense.
as we navigate these uncharted waters.
Finding that balance between the benefits and the risks.
Yeah.
And making sure we're not just chasing progress blindly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks.
And it's crucial to remember.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is a tool. It can be used for good or for bad.
True.
It all comes down to the choices we make.
We've talked about a lot of challenges.
We have.
But are there any individuals or organizations out there that are doing really innovative work in the field of tech ethics?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of inspiring people and organizations
Good.
working hard to make technology a force for good.
Like who?
One that comes to mind is the Algorithmic Justice League,
Okay.
founded by Joy Buolamwini.
Okay.
They're doing incredible work to expose algorithmic bias.
Oh, that's important work.
Yeah, and they advocate for AI systems that are fair and accountable.
So there are people out there
There are.
holding the tech industry accountable.
Yeah,
And pushing for ethical practices.
I agree. And there's also the Center for Humane Technology,
Okay.
co-founded by Tristan Harris.
I've heard of it.
They're focused on redesigning technology
To do what?
to be more aligned with human values and well-being.
I like that.
It's about creating tech that doesn't exploit our vulnerabilities
Really?
or make us addicted.
Technology that makes our lives better, not worse.
Exactly.
That's something I can get behind.
And we're seeing more tech companies starting to take ethics seriously.
Oh, that's good.
Like Google, for example.
What are they doing?
They've set up an AI ethics council
To do what?
to guide the development and use of their AI.
That's encouraging.
It is.
It seems like the tech industry as a whole
Mm-hmm.
is starting to wake up to the ethical implications of what they're creating.
It's a step in the right direction.
It is, but we can't just leave it up to them.
Right. As consumers and citizens,
Yeah,
we all have a role to play in demanding ethical tech
right.
and holding both ourselves and the tech industry accountable.
So it's about being informed,
Yes.
being engaged,
Yeah,
and being willing to speak up
exactly.
when something doesn't seem right.
Well said.
The future of technology is ultimately in our hands.
It is.
It's up to all of us to shape it in a way that benefits humanity.
I think that's a powerful message.
It is.
To leave our listeners with.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening.
Yeah.
We've explored how technology and ethics are connected in ways we're only just beginning to understand.
I know, it's a lot.
But as we move into this increasingly technological future,
Right.
we need to remember that we have the power to shape that future.
We do. We're not just along for the ride.
Right.
We're active participants.
Yes.
And we have a responsibility to ensure that technology is used to promote our shared values.
And create a better future for everyone.
Exactly.
So to our listeners,
Yeah.
keep questioning, keep learning, and keep engaging in these conversations about technology and ethics.
Yeah.
The future depends on it.
And remember, the future isn't something that just happens to us.
We make it.
We create it